I remember we got off at the last stop, and for a little girl, I remember it was a long walk to this lady's house. And I remember they had a few steps to the doorway, and my father rang the bell, and this lady answered the door, and I believe she had 2 daughters. I'm not sure if I always saw 2, but there was 2 daughters. And my father took me inside, and I remember he had a suitcase, but I hadn't paid much attention to it. And that was the last time I saw my father. And that was the house I stayed in for 2 years.
Your brother Max also was rescued by Christians.
Yes, he was in a Christian home for boys. And he stayed there for the duration of the war. And then after the liberation, found his way back home. Yes. And after the liberation, my mother then came from her hiding place to get me. And my mother hid in a prearranged nursing home in the country. See, my mother got away with not saying that she was Jewish because she didn't appear to be Jewish. Because at that time, most people had the preconceived notion that Jews had dark hair, dark eyes, olive complexion, possibly hook noses. And my mother didn't fit that at all. She was blonde, blue-eyed, fair. So she got a job, prearranged, that she would be a nurse's assistant or a practical nurse in a nursing home. And that's where she hid.
And he came and he told us, people, you should know that those trains are going to Belzec, which was located a few stations from Lubachev. And this is only a death camp. When people are coming in, they are ordered to take off the clothes and go to take a bath. Separate the men, separate the women. When they come in, the doors are closed out from outside, and from the shower heads is coming outside poison, gas, and everybody is gassed. In a few minutes, everybody's dead. Then they left a few men they should carry out those bodies to the crematorium and burn them. And that's where we will go.
This Jewish boy, this slave in a death camp, how did he escape from Belzec?
I guess he's the only person I ever heard that escaped from Belzec, because from Belzec it is not one survivor, because it was strictly a death camp. But by chance, he told us that a German helped him to escape. He found a German who was a saint, and he let him escape. But the boy died anyhow later. He escaped, and he told us what had happened there. And there, everybody was already on alert. We knew what is going to happen with us. And so people tried to build hiding places, like our family had a double wall in the attic. From this house, people should be able to escape. But it didn't help because everything was recovered. They found all the hiding places. Yes. In 1943, in January, it was so cold, the coldest. We were shivering in the houses because we didn't have any wood to make warm the houses. And it was so cold. German trucks came in They went from house to house to chase out everybody from the house. And everybody whom they didn't find before, they found them later, or those people who were hidden and they weren't discovered. When they came out, they found them and they were shot later. And they walked us to the train station. I remember the snow was crunching under the shoes because it was so cold outside. Everybody was shaking. And we came to the train station. They were already cattle trains waiting for us. And the German soldiers told everybody to go into the train. And they were hitting, and children were crying. It was a big chaos by the station. It is difficult to describe because families wanted to keep together, and somebody was lost, and they were screaming. Finally, we were inside, and the door from outside was closed, locked from outside. When we came, and we were stuck inside like herrings next to each other. And they were the barbed wires on those little windows. So everybody tried, who was close to that window, to pull out those barbed wires. In the meantime, the German soldiers, the SS people, were sitting on the roof. They went on the roof. They were warm dressed, of course. They were prepared that time for that weather. And they were watching nobody should escape. And so when the train started moving, people started to crawl out, pushed from inside from that little window. As the people went out, we heard shots. We couldn't see anything, but we heard shots. Finally, my father, and that was the last time my father spoke to me. And he said, "You oldest of three, you three, like for me, my sister Hannah, my brother next to us, you go out. Maybe somebody will survive to be able to tell what is happening to us, because we know where we are going, and we have to stay with the little children together, because the little children, no matter what, they won't be able to survive, even if they were free." But my little brother, the youngest, who was 3 years old, and he started to cry, "I want to live too. I want to live too." And these words stayed with me for the whole life, no matter how I tried to forget. Anyhow, first my brother jumped. He was the first. Then my sister. I was the last one. When I jumped, pushed out from inside, I ended up in a deep ditch of snow. And probably and they shot after me too. But as the train was in motion, they somehow the bullet didn't hit me. The bullet didn't hit me. That even didn't touch me. And I listened, and I heard the train. And when the train, I didn't hear anymore any noise. The train passed by. I got up, and the first thing that we Jewish in our city, some